Hello and welcome back to Pop-Up Sports. Today we ask the question, should the Chargers fire head coach Anthony Lynn? It's a great question. Overall, his record is 26-22 as head coach of the Chargers. It's his first head coaching job ever. But if you watched yesterday's game against the Bills, he looked clueless a lot of times. In fact, if going back and give you some background, I was a Charger fan from the 60s up until 2016 when they moved to LA. And I said, okay, I'm not going to support you guys anymore. But I still watch the games. But I'm not a fan of the Chargers anymore. But I think I have a good grasp on the history, especially since Spanos has owned the team, of the coaches and stuff they've hired. But anyway, you have, since Norv Turner, this is the look of Norv Turner, Mike McCoy, and Anthony Lynn when things aren't going right on the sidelines, that the fans see, the players see, everyone in the world sees. This is their look. Like they have no clue what to do. And that was yesterday with, and that's not the first time I've seen this with Anthony Lynn. I'm sure he's a great guy. But with time running out, they're down by 10. It's 4th and long. Against the Bills, Herbert throws a Hail Mary. Of course, they complete it. You know, I'm starting to think that every team in the NFL should throw Hail Marys against the Bills. They seem to have trouble covering it. But anyway, they get down like the 3 or 4 yard line, and they have a timeout left. They don't use it. And the next play is they run the ball. Get stuffed. So now they're going back and forth. They call a timeout with 6 seconds left, and they're going back. Should we kick the field goal? Should we not kick the field goal? Should we kick the field goal? I guess the logic was if we kick the field goal with 6 seconds left, then we could recover an onside kick. I don't know what they were doing. It was a complete cluster. I mean, the announcers were going, I don't know what they're doing. The fans were saying, I don't know what they're doing. And, of course, I was like going, he doesn't know what he's doing. So you got to look at the history of the Spanos family when hiring coaches. Now, for the most part, they've been terrible at it. I mean, they first bought the team back in the 80s, the early 80s. It was Air Coryell. And Don Coryell was probably one of the most popular sports figures in San Diego at that time. He's definitely in the top 5. Probably overall still probably top 10. A lot of people probably don't know him. But again, at that time, so they fired him and hired Al Saunders, who coached for about 2 years and never had another head coaching job again. So who did they replace Al Saunders with? Dan Henning. Another terrible coach. Finally, they got it right. They fired Dan Henning and hired Bobby Ross. Now, Bobby Ross is the only coach in the history of the Chargers to make it to the Super Bowl. The history, so keep that in mind. A few years later, they fired him and hired Kevin Gilbride, who was a terrible head coach. Followed by June Jones, who wasn't terrible, but he wasn't a good coach. Followed by Mike Riley, who was a terrible head coach. So you got 3 in a row where bad hire, bad hire, bad hire. They finally get it right and hire Marty Schottenheimer, a proven coach who's had problems in the playoffs, but a proven coach, knows how to build a team. Finally, they build a team. Looks like it's finally going to contend. They had a bad break. They had a bad game against the Patriots. I don't want to go into that. And in the offseason, after going 14-2, losing those 2 games by a total of 6 points, losing the playoff game by 3 points, he gets fired. And who do they hire? Norv Turner. Now people are going, well, Norv had a pretty good run with the Chargers. He did have some good, I mean, he took the Chargers to the AFC Championship game. If the Chargers would have won, I mean, not have had LT, Rivers was hurt, Gates, I mean, the list goes on and on. They probably could have won that game because they pretty much outplayed the Patriots for the most part. But the Patriots were just, the better team that day. But Norv Turner was not a great hire from a PR standpoint because everyone, Norv Turner. Norv Turner his only chance to survive the fans was to win because he had a history of losing. So the next year he was okay. I think they went 8-8. Then 2009 they went 13-3 and they lost the first round against the Jets, who they were favored heavily against the Jets. I would have fired Norv Turner then. I said, okay, done. And after that, the team started nosediving down. And it was clear that Norv was not the guy, but they kept him around. Finally, they replaced him with Mike McCoy, an assistant from Denver Broncos. Never had head coaching experience. He had a pretty good first year. I mean, they made the playoffs, but it was by the skin of their teeth. After that, this dude had the classic blank stare on his face. He could not get anything right. And they kept him around when it was clear this guy was not getting it. He was making the same mistakes he had made the first season. And they kept him for the 4th season. And that was when they had the big vote, the stadium vote in San Diego. They kept Mike McCoy. People, I think, were so frustrated at that point. It cost them votes. I don't care what anyone says. But they kept him around for 4 seasons. Then they hire Anthony Lynn, who had no head coaching experience. And he's done okay. He had that one really big year. But he's time management is not his forte. He's terrible at time management. So should the Chargers fire Anthony Lynn? As a non-Charger fan, I say keep him. I don't care. But if I was a Charger fan, I'd go, okay, let's get rid of him. But this time, let's go spend some money on a head coach. But that's the problem. I don't know if because Dean Spano's son is the general manager, John Spanos. So is he going to want to put up with a coach that wants more control? I mean, they're talking Belichick. If Belichick leaves the Patriots, there's no way Belichick's going to come in and work with that clown Joe. He's just not. And other coaches, they were talking some college coaches. But if they want to make a mark, they're going to have to go out and hire a name coach. We'll see if it happens. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. That's all I got. I'm out. Thanks for watching. Bye.